Hello, YouTube, and especially all you camera lovers out there, particularly those who are recent purchasers of the Sony A7V or those who are maybe thinking about getting this particular camera, or maybe you're just scrolling and curing some boredom. The purpose of this video is not to dive into all of the amazing features or the things that I like and don't like compared to other Sony cameras I have. We all know there's a ton of those on YouTube. Who knows, maybe after an international trip where I'm taking this camera in a month or so, I will follow up with some in the field findings that I have, should those be helpful to you. But in this particular video, I want to keep it short and talk about a minor issue, at least, that I've discovered with my A7V. And I want to do that for two purposes. One, to let you know that the problem does seem to exist, at least in one camera body. And based on my interactions with Sony tech support so far, I'm guessing that it may not be something that's isolated to this one camera body here. And the other thing is to ask you, the YouTube community, if you've recently purchased one of these cameras, if you're noticing the same issue, or if you want to try to look into it yourself and see if you're having the issue. And the reason for that is I believe that even though Sony is not the most remarkable camera company when it comes to giving firmware updates, that it is something that they will consider addressing in a firmware that can be issued maybe sometime in the near future. And so what am I talking about specifically here? And that is the A7V's unique ability to update lens firmware through the camera body itself. Prior to this, you could even do it through the Creators app. You had to plug your camera into your computer and use software and that sort of thing. And if you're a Mac owner like I am, that can be a real nightmare. So one of the things I was really looking forward to on this, when I saw that it was in the downware specs on the Sony website, was that the A7V had a unique firmware file that you could download, that you could put on an SD card, put it in the camera, and do lens firmware updates that way. And as it turns out, I have three Sony proprietary lenses that do currently have firmwares. The one that you see here is the 55mm f1.8. The one that I'm filming with now, the 24-105 f4, also has one, as does my 200-600 telephoto. So I was going to try to update all of those lenses using this amazing new camera body, and I ran into a bit of a glitch, which I'll demonstrate for you here in a second. But long story really short, even on a newly formatted SD card, it doesn't matter if it's a standard SD card like a V60 or V30, I think, or one of the faster V90 cards. This is a SanDisk Sing Pro V90 card. I even tried it with the CF Express Type A cards, which work in card slot 1, which is what you have to use. It doesn't matter which cards I use, the camera does not identify the lens firmware update file. Now, I've talked with Sony via chat, then I had a phone call from Sony Support USA and subsequent emails. And I've sent them the same type of videos I'm about to send you, but I'm doing this so you can check to see if your camera is having the same issue. I'll go ahead and turn the camera on here. Okay, the first thing that we want to do is demonstrate that the SD card is formatted. So I'm going to format the card slot 1 because it's currently the only SD card that I have in the camera. Then we're going to jump back over into the menu and go down here under the version, and I'm going to show you that the version of the body and lens, the body is 1.0. I actually did have a Sony rep ask me what version of the software I had on the camera, and I reminded them that the A7V only has the original version and that no updates have been issued yet. But anyway, there's that. The lens version is 0.01, and again, that is for the Sony 55mm f1.8. So now that we verified that, let's jump over into the laptop and look at the software download. Okay, we're going to take the newly formatted SD card out of the camera and put it in the slot on the Mac here. And wait for it to load. Untitled, there we go. Now I'm going to swipe back over to the Sony website. Now we're under the lens firmware update for the 55mm 1.2. update version 2. This is for the memory card and the download option here. But if we scroll down, you will see that this update is only available for the A7 Mark V. And so that's the screen that we're on. This is how you would use the other versions using your computer desktop. But we're going to click the download here, and we're going to scroll through the user agreement and click download. And then we're going to save this to the desktop and let that go through. It says it's done. We'll swipe back over, and here's that file now. Now, this is not a file that needs to be unpackaged. It's not downloaded as a zip or anything like that. So what we need to do is we need to take it and drop it to the top layer of the SD card. You can see within the SD card itself that there's only the private folder, which is what's built by the camera itself for all the video files and things like that. So we're going to just take this file, drop it in there, and then we're good to go. Now we're going to eject that SD card, and we'll take the SD card now, and we'll go back into card slot 1. Again, it's the only card slot that will do the update. We'll go back on and then go to the menu, go to version, and then we got the camera body and the lens listed here. Now, what you're supposed to be able to do is then go over here and then either toggle up to software update. This should be light color based from what they've told me in the pictures I've seen online. We go to software update, we get there is no media card installed in slot 1, which is not true. There is no updated file on the memory card, which we also know isn't true, or the file is damaged. All right, guys, so there you have it, the lens firmware update glitch issue, whatever you want to call it, that I'm experiencing with the A7V. And as a Mac owner, this would be such a convenient way to do lens firmware updates. I also wish that they would bring lens firmware updates through the Creators app, which you can now do firmware updates for the camera bodies, and that would eliminate the need to use a computer entirely. So anyway, I'm having that issue. So my question to you is, if you own the A7V, have you run into this feature? If not, maybe consider seeing if you can get yours to work, and leave a comment below. Let me know, yes, I'm having the issue, or no, I'm not, or hey, I didn't know it was an issue. I tried to do what you did, and I also had that issue. And if you do have this issue, do all of the Sony owners a favor out there and go ahead and open a support ticket with Sony and let them know, hey, this is something that's going on in my camera. Other users are experiencing it, and maybe that will enable them to address the issue. Because as I said earlier, where I'm currently waiting with Sony tech support, which is going on about a week and a half now, is that the tech team, at least where I spoke with in the United States, cannot get their hand on an A7V to see if this issue is something that can be duplicated or not. So I thought I would inform you, reach out to my friends in the YouTube community to see if this is a more common issue or if it's unfortunately a one-hit wonder. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you found it helpful, informative, and maybe inspire you to take some action to help the rest of us out there who are experiencing this. That'll do it, guys. Until next time, be safe and God bless.